Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Filmbusters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
Right, Adam, I think the whole of our podcasting family needs to know what your story is about being on a boat in Nuki.
I mean, it was the worst experience of my life. I don't know if anyone suffers here from seasickness.
Does anyone suffer from seasickness?
Well, I mean, people, I knew that I'm not the best on these modes of transport. And before we went out, I said to the lady, number one, have you got any seasickness tablets? She said, you're too late, mate. You take them like 6-7 hours beforehand. And she said, also today it's quite calm.
She fucked you, mate.
Yeah, she did.
You'll be okay. And it was a calm day. There was no wind in the air. There wasn't it was a bit sunny. And she was like, yeah, you'll be fine. And we got out there and it was a bit rocky at the beginning, but I was like, this is okay. I can do this. And then we saw some dolphins and they were like,
Aww.
and there was a pool of birds and stuff. And then there must have been some fish underneath it. And there's a couple of dolphins taking the fish, and so were the birds and all of that kind of shit. And the guy slowed down the boat to look at it, and as soon as he slowed down, I was like, this ain't fun. This is gone.
It was churning you up.
And then we stopped to do some deep sea fishing. We were meant to be out there for 4 hours.
Deep sea fishing?
So we went a good 45 minutes or half an hour out into the sea.
Oh no. So you knew you had to have a long journey back.
See, the thing is, when you're moving, it was okay. And then as soon as we stopped, I was just like, phew. And then Luke, who's one of the patrons, started throwing up. He was the first to go. I don't know how that kid survived.
Lukey boy.
He was fucked. And then one of my mates, Tamim, he threw up at the beginning. The both of them were asleep afterwards. They were the only way I can get through this is if I'm asleep.
Yeah.
And then Francis went, who's another one of our patrons. And then, I was the last person to throw up. There was 10 of us on the trip. 6 of us throw up. 2 of them were on
Look at those odds.
the verge of going. And then one person was like, I was okay and fainted. And then one person was just completely fine at all. It was just, we had to come back early. It was just horrible.
Was the
imagine, man.
Was the captain laughing at you?
Yeah, I think he said he gets it all the time. He says, you very rarely get a group of people that actually complete the 4 hours. They're fucking laughing at us, being yeah, you mugs have paid for the 4 hours.
Yeah,
you're only going to do, I think we were out there for 2 and a bit. That's including
I think he
half hour.
knows how to churn people up, and he does it on purpose.
That's it.
Well, it's just you're in the sea, and the boat's not massive. It was an old lifeboat or something like that, and it had a little hut for the captain to go into, and then everyone else just sits outside around the edge of the boat.
Yeah.
It was a pace across, or 5 paces up. It was not a big boat, and it was awful. And I was just it's every time I've been on a boat before and I've been seasick, it's one time I've thrown it up, and they're normally bigger boats, so you get it out and then you're kind of oh, it's stable, so it's a patch. It was just constant, man. And also it got to the point at the end, disclose a lot of information, where you've thrown up all the food in your belly, but you'll keep throwing up, so you're just throwing up acid.
Lovely.
It's so disgusting. It's green. So I was drinking water to try and dilute it and try and have something to come back up with. But it was just. And then
was there a toilet on the boat, by the way?
There was, but it was tiny, and I was also
covered in sick.
Well, no, you don't go. You don't go in there. He said just go over the ball, just go over the side of the thing. We caught
Is that
so
what he
many.
said?
Yeah, of course.
Just piss off the side of the boat.
Not piss, like throw up.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I didn't go to the. I was like, at one point I did need to go to a wee, and I was just like, I can't think of anything worse. The only thing that was saving me was looking at the horizon, and they said if you look at the horizon, it helps you focus.
God, that's
And
a
it
very
did.
boring thing to do for a long time, though, isn't it?
It was. I was just staring, and then as soon as I turned away, I'd like start to feel really sick again. And if I went back, it was kind of okay. And I was thinking, if you're in that cabin, just people throwing you around, that would be even worse. Like
Oh, mate. How long did it take you to find your legs afterwards?
about a minute or two. For the next like 3 or 4 hours, I just felt really hungover. If that makes
I'm
sense.
sure you all did.
Like, you don't feel sick anymore, but your belly is just so churned up. Do you know when you've woken up and you've thrown up all morning, and then you sit back and you're just like, you took a bit of food to settle it, and then even then...
Did you have any dinner that night? Did you even want to have any dinner?
Yeah, we had dinner. I had lunch, and then I had dinner, and like, you have to have stuff to settle it down.
Yeah. Jesus, what a nightmare.
I got to say that if I was on that boat, I feel like nowadays, especially, I probably would end up being one of those people being sick as well. Because for some reason, like the past few months, I've been getting car sickness.
Oh,
if
really?
I'm not driving the car, if I'm the passenger.
Yeah, I'm not great. I can do
I
car
get car
journeys,
sickness.
but like, I can't. If I was spending hours on my phone on a car journey, that will fuck me up.
That's what does it.
Yeah.
That's
If
what
I'm
does
sitting
it.
there looking out the window, I'm normally okay. Probably won't go backwards on a train, like all of that kind of stuff. But yeah,
You don't go backwards on a train?
I can't. I can on like the underground. I can, or if it's like a short journey, I would. But like coming back from Newquay, it was like 4 hours on the train. It's like a 5.5 jouger, and it was like, nah, I'm not going backwards on that.
Interesting. I've never felt that before. It's normally especially if I'm looking at my phone during a car journey.
Yeah.
That's what does me up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because you're focused on a very small area, but in your periphery, you've got the outside speeding by,
Yeah.
so your eye
It's this confusion between your brain, innit?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why birds can't use their phone when they're flying. They crash. They crash.
What you meant women?
No. I'm
I was thinking, what's this
from the 70s.
this joke? This weird joke. This is why birds can't use their phones.
Yeah. I've turned into a British geezer in honour of King Charles. God save the king! God save the king!
God save the king!
God save the king! I was just going to say, is anyone doing anything with the coronation?
Not really.
No, I'm not.
Aren't you
No.
going to bake a cake and say God save the king?
Are you going to pledge your allegiance?
No. Are you?
Nope.
Is Paul?
I'm not.
Are you going to watch any of it?
Probably not.
No.
I might
no.
flick it on in passing interest just to see what he looks like and then turn it off again.
I don't even think I'll go that far.
I just want to see what he looks like. I want to see what dress he's wearing.
His new carriage that he's got.
Yeah. God
It's
save
not
the
a new
king.
one, is it? It's an old one, isn't it?
No, they're
I think
not
he's got
using
a
the old
new
one.
carriage
He's got a new carriage, yes.
because it was fitted for his mother's specifications. Well, he needs a new one because obviously carriages are built around a person, so
It's outrageous.
I know,
It is
it's like a
outrageous.
coffin. You need to be like in Breaker Morant. You need the right size coffin, otherwise your leg's gonna stick out.
Yes.
Anyway, the long story is don't go deep sea fishing unless
No,
you can
definitely
really
not.
try and stomach it. I told my dad about this, and he was like, "Yeah, I did it ages ago. We went out on a thing, did the same thing, and I was like horribly sick." And he said the worst thing I did is about 15, 16 years later. Was with his mates, and they wanted to do the same thing. And he went, fuck it. It's been 16 years. I can't be that bad anymore. Like, I've been on boats again since. And he was just like, nope, it doesn't change. It doesn't go away.
No.
And it's the thing. It has to be really choppy on a normal boat for me to like throw up. But it's just you're bobbing. It is just constant, and it's the waves.
Yeah.
You're going up and down bigger than the boat is. Like,
That's my fear of going on like a what's it called? A cruise. What if you just felt seasick the whole time?
see,
Yeah.
I think you'd have to take a lot on a cruise ship for you to feel, because they're so big.
I do remember getting the ferry over from Amsterdam about 10 years ago and feeling outside in the middle of the night having a cigarette getting whipped around by the wind and everything, really bobbing it was, and feeling very sick. But I think that might have had a lot more to do with smoking a cigarette
Yeah,
in that situation.
Yeah, it's just the worst thing about it is there's just no escape. Once you've gone, on that boat, there was just nothing.
Yeah.
Like-
you just got to ride it out.
I hear you.
You just got to get back to land as quick as possible.
Well, sorry for your loss of your stomach,
I know.
Adam.
Fucking 40 quid I'll never get back. I said to Luke the whole time, I was like, there's literally a golf course next door, we can see it. It's fucking 40 quid around. Why the fuck did we not just send these mugs away on the boat and we gone and
I
played?
told you to go surfing, mate. You're in Nuki. That was the perfect time.
Well, the waves weren't actually that big in Nuki, that's why we didn't really do it in the end. There wasn't a
Would have
great
been a laugh, though, wouldn't it? Better than
It
being
wouldn't
sick.
Well,
This
I mean,
California boy over here recommending surfing and skateboarding around.
people,
Fucking Nuki, mate. It's the
it's the
home of
capital
surfing.
of UK surfing or something.
I got no interest in
But apparently
surfing.
people get seasick surfing.
Yeah,
I
could
don't think
imagine
you
that.
would have been, mate.
Also, the idea of surfing is I've swallowed so much salt water and that would probably make me just as sick.
Close your mouth. That's the way.
Yeah, you
Not
probably
to
when
get
you're
salt
falling
water in your
over,
mouth.
you're going you can't close your mouth.
The only thing that could have made your experience worse is if a great white came along.
Oh, God.
I'd
And
pro-
There could have been. There was dolphins around.
if it went on for much longer, and the only option was to jump in the sea with a shark to stop you feeling sick, or staying on that boat, I'd have probably taken my
Never.
chances with the shark.
That sounds like absolute hell, man. If you even contemplate that.
I was
Anyway,
like, there's 6
that
of
was-
us, they can't eat all of us, so go for the big fat one first, and I'll be alright.
No, they go for the skinny one because they want the toothpick.
Yeah, you know it.
That was some fine preamble.
That was some fine preamble. Should we move on to somewhat talking about films?
We
Yes.
better, because I got to go to the dentist.
Oh, yeah, you have. Right, so, just before we move on to talk about French Connection, which is our film of today, picked by our lovely patron Nerdvert,
Yep.
let's talk about our patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, where you can get exclusive episodes on our patron. You can come on the show. You can pick films for us to do, just like Nerdvert has done today with French Connection. Or you can just become part of the beautiful family and just absolutely love it, because we will love you as well. That's it's all love. It's all love on the patron. Adam, what are we doing on the patron today?
Really, I'll talk about our favourite films of the April, is what we're talking about.
The April.
The
The
April.
April. The April. Yeah, we are talking about our
Top
favourite.
3, bottom worst.
Yep, and Paul's actually going to do it this time. He's not going to cheat. So anyone who knows about his cheating before, he has come round to not be a cheating bastard.
I'm no longer a cheater.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. I've rectified my ways,
Yes.
and I apologise. So, should we move on somewhat in talking about the French Connection today, suggested by our wonderful patron Nerdrovert, and talk about the quiz surrounding French Connection? Adam,
Yes. You ready for your quiz?
I think so.
You want to explain the rules?
I am
Yeah,
going to
maybe.
ask these guys 2 questions. If they get the question right, I'm just getting up my questions. If they get the question right, they get the point. If they get the question wrong, I get the point. It currently stands on me and Paul have 10 points and Ben has 8 points. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hope so.
Question number 1. I actually probably can't get a point out of this because it's a yes or no one, so I'm going to let you, unless you 2 go for the same
Yes or
answer.
no?
Yes or no question.
Well, listen, I'll explain the question, but there is a chance that I can't really get a point out of this, but I'm doing it for fun anyway.
Okay.
Which film is rated higher on Letterboxd? The French Connection or The French Dispatch?
Yes or no does not answer this
Well,
question.
you know what I mean. Pick your film. Which one's rated higher, The French Dispatch or The French Connection?
I'm going to say the
French
French
Dispatch.
Dispatch, even though it should probably be Connection.
Are you both going with French Dispatch?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if it's French Connection, I get the point. So that we
Yeah.
can do it that way. You
Yes.
are both wrong. It is The French Connection.
No,
Well,
I
there
thought
you
you
go.
were throwing
That was the
curveball.
best way for it to happen.
It's a
Yeah.
3.9, and The French Dispatch has a 3.7.
Well, that's bullshit.
Yes. I haven't seen the French Dispatch, but I've got no intention of seeing it.
I saw it, and it's definitely worse than this film.
Yeah,
Yes, it
well,
is.
there you go.
Okay, question number 2. Where in the car are the drugs hidden?
In the
rocker
side
panels.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul gets the point for that because he actually said the correct answer.
What, you have to say rocker panels.
Because he specifically says the rocker panels.
Oh, okay, fine, boys.
He goes, I stripped the whole car but the rocker panels.
There you go. It's a good
Oh,
impression.
come on.
You said you couldn't do
love
impressions earlier.
I did it off the whim. That's probably why I didn't overthink it.
I love that he actually brought up the rocker panels. It's like, well, maybe you should have done the rocker panels, mate.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that specifically?
It's a good place to store stuff in a car as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, clearly. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
11,
Very good.
11.
Good questions.
Both of you on 11, and I'm on 8.
We're tearing away,
I'm languishing at
just
the bottom.
like Gene Hackman
Yes.
in our car.
Yeah.
Should we talk about French Connection?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Jimmy, come on, let me bust him. I want to bust him. I want to bust him. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him.
You got a friend here, buddy? You got a friend?
You gonna tell us who your man is?
When's the last time you picked your feet, Willie? Who's your connection, Willie? What's his name?
What? Answer him! No, man, no.
Hey, no. Is it Joe the Barber? Joe the Barber, right? That's who it is, isn't it? Now, don't give us any shit. What's Joe's last name?
I don't know, man.
Give it a chance. Just give it a chance.
You know, all I know is he lives on 125th Street, man. Above the barbershop.
What side of the street do you live on? North or south? North or south?
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know.
I'm asking you what side of the street he lives on.
Hey, shithead. When's the last time you picked your feet? Huh?
Hey, what's he talking about?
I got a man in Poughkeepsie who wants to talk to you. You ever been in Poughkeepsie? Huh? Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie?
Hey, man, come on, give me a break,
Hey,
man. I don't know
come
what
on,
you're
come on,
talking about,
say it. Let
man.
me hear you say it. Come on. Have you ever been in Poughkeepsie? You've been in Poughkeepsie, haven't you? I want to hear it. Come on.
Yes, I've
You've been there, right?
Yeah.
You sat on the edge of the bed, didn't you? You took off your shoes, put your finger between your toes, and picked your feet, didn't you? Now say it!
Yes.
Right, everyone, today we're doing The French Connection from 1971 by William Friedkin. This is a spoiler episode, so if you've not seen the film, we're going to spoil it terribly for you. So you better go watch it or come back and you can enjoy everything in its full way it should be, with all the spoilers.
Whatever that meant.
No, whatever that meant. We got some people who have been in films we've done before on the podcast. Do you know who they are?
Well, William Friedkin, we've done his films before.
This is his third film we've done. What are the other two?
We did Bug.
Sorcerer, was that a freaking film?
Yes, one each. Well done.
Very good.
Yeah, correct. Who's the other person?
Roy Scheider, because he was in Sorcerer.
Yes, and one other film. This
What,
is his
Roy
third
Scheider
film
was
as well.
in another film we've done?
Yeah,
Oh, Jaws 2.
correct.
Okay.
There you go. Jaws 2, beauty. That's all the films.
Jaws
there
2
you go.
is a
Adam.
banger.
Yes.
Yeah, Adam. Plot of this film. What is it?
Drugs. Drug smuggling.
Yeah.
Police tracking down drug smugglers who are French from Marseille. And they're trying to smuggle heroin into America, and the police are like, you can't do that. And they track them down, and then they shoot at each other, and then there's some car chases.
Just spoilers all over the place, Adam. Spoiling this film terribly.
What? Because people get shot at, and there's some car chases.
Yes.
The
Okay.
most famous car chase in the world.
Is it?
Yeah.
Isn't it Bullet, the most famous?
Oh, wow.
I think that I honestly think the Blues Brothers would be up there.
Let me do my backstory bit, because I'll touch on that. So,
Okay.
The French Connection was based on Robin Moore's 1969 book about a seizure of 246 pounds of heroin that was smuggled via a car on a French ocean liner, as Adam says, from Marseille to America. It was loosely based on the real-life narcotics detectives Eddie Egan and Sonny Grosso, who were translated into Popeye Doyle and Cloudy Rousseau in this. At the 44th Academy Awards, the film earned 8 nominations and won 5 Oscars for Best Picture, Best Actor, which went to Hackman, Best Director, Best Film Editing, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It was known at the time for having the greatest car chase sequence in film history because it was a one-shot take from within the car with a crazy driver who had come off the set of Bullet. The stunt driver from Bullet was used to film it.
Connection.
And he had a conversation with Friedkin, and Friedkin said, we've got no permission, we only get one shot at this, there's no retakes, you need to push this to the max. And the guy was like, if you have the balls to get in a car with me and film it, I'll take you to hell and back. So everything that you saw from within that car was
That's
all
pretty fun, actually.
one fucking
Was it
take.
shot with Freaking in it? then.
Friedkin was in the car. There was a cameraman in the car, and then there was the stunt driver. And the car crash that you see when it crashes into another car, that was just someone's car that they smashed into. Yeah. By all accounts, it sounds very fucking dangerous and
Very
highly
dangerous.
irresponsible.
Yes, very. Actually, that sounds it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, Friedkin says that the film's documentary-like realism was the direct result of having seen a bunch of French films by a guy called Costa Gavras, and he decided that what he wanted to do was take the documentary aesthetic and apply it to this film so that it looked like the camera didn't ever know where the actors were going to turn or look from one moment to another. And in fact, when rehearsing for the film, he would have the camera crew and the actors rehearse separately so that when they started filming a scene, the camera crew didn't know where the actors were going to go, so that it gave it that sort of aesthetic. And Friedkin also had problems with most of the casting. He was very strongly opposed to Gene Hackman for the lead, didn't think that he'd be good, and they clashed on set many times, as you could probably imagine. And he also, the character who played, I don't know what the guy is called in the film, I forgot what he's called, but you know the big French boss with the beard? That guy was cast completely accidentally because he actually wanted this French actor that he'd seen in the film, and he told his production people, go and get that French actor, and they got the wrong one. They picked up the wrong person, and he just cast him anyway.
How'd you pick the wrong person up?
I know. They're just like, well, which guy? That guy? No, that one over there. Okay, you, come be in this movie.
Are you French?
And he wasn't. He was Spanish. And he turned up and he said to Friedkin, I don't speak French. And Friedkin was like, well, we use you anyway.
What? What is this?
It's true.
Why don't they just go get the real guy?
I know. I think it's because they flew him in. Because he met him.
Oh, right.
Friedkin was waiting for him at the airport. And he didn't recognise this guy, didn't see the guy. He's like, where is this guy? And then he got paged and he went over. And the guy was like, yeah, I'm here for your movie. Friedkin was like, you are not the guy.
I love the thought of this French guy standing in the airport like, I don't know where they are. They never came and got me.
Brilliant. Very brilliant.
He's still waiting there to this day.
Yeah. And also, here's just a little bit of interesting trivia. This was one of the first films to show the World Trade Center.
One of the first.
Yeah. I don't know when the World Trade Center was built, but I certainly know when
Well,
it
he must have
fell.
been in the 70s then. Or late 60s.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is Nerdvert's pick. Thanks, Nerdvert, for tacking on the end of our 1971 round. Adam, it's your chance to tell us what order you want to do our first impressions in.
We'll just do Filmbusters.
You want Filmbusters?
We're having
Yeah.
Filmbusters. Let's have it.
Okay, I'll give you Filmbusters. So that's me first. So, overall, it's a pretty good down the line cat and mouse detective thriller. Really, it's with everything you'd normally expect from like wiretaps, sting operations, loads of stakeouts. I mean, loads and loads of stakeouts, and following potential criminals. And it's just a pretty solid version of exactly what you'd expect if you were to describe something of that nature.
Yeah.
But it's also really outdated with its language.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly feels like they're picking on minorities just because. And the actual premise isn't really that engrossing. But its biggest flaw is it doesn't have a likeable lead. He's just a big old racist pig who has like naked women plots all over his wall in his apartment. And I don't like him in the slightest. And that kind of detracts me from actually truly caring about what he's actually doing or wanting him to succeed. And I guess it kind of is the point of it, because I think it's maybe kind of what it's saying in the end when the big altercation at the end with the fellow officer who he kills. But I just don't like him. Roy Scheider is all right though, and I guess it's nice doing a Christmas film in May.
A Christmas film.
We talk about Riders of Justice. That's a Christmas film.
Isn't it? It is.
I'm afraid these
There's
are
a
not
lot of
Christmas
Christmas
films.
in this.
He just dresses up as Santa Claus.
And there's Christmas stuff in the background. Always.
We did, what do you call it? What was that film we did recently that was a Christmas film? Wait, what was the first film we did in 1971?
Waking Friday.
Yeah, that was a Christmas film.
It's true.
Yeah,
Is that the running theme? Is it Christmas in all these films? Potentially. I
It's
can't
always
remember.
Christmas.
It wasn't
every day.
Christmas in Clockwork Orange, that's for sure. There was no Christmas.
It wasn't. No. Or THX. There was nothing in that film.
No, there was no Christmas in Jewel.
True.
We just started and ended with Christmas films, though.
Big Christmas
That's true.
sandwich.
At least we did that.
Yeah.
That's
A
one link.
non-Christmas film, Christmas sandwich.
Yep. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Paul. It's very run of the mill, very standard kind of. It's good. It's engaging. It's. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is just your textbook cat and mouse, cop chasing druggies. At the time, I can imagine again it's incredible. But after a while, you start to see these films a lot. It kind of holds up, but yeah, like Paul says, it's dated at the same time. There is a lot of things in this film that you're like, okay, it feels like very much of its time. But yeah, I appreciate it. It's fun. But it doesn't blow my socks off.
Blow your socks off. No, it didn't blow my socks off either. In fact, I liked it less than the only other time that I'd watched it the first time. The first time I quite rated it. This time I didn't have much patience with it, to be honest with you, because it, like you say, I feel like it's Friedkin's mistake with that whole documentary aesthetic, because that makes it unique in a way, but it also doesn't make it all that engaging. And when the story itself, because I was halfway into the film and I'm thinking, all this just because they might be smuggling some drugs in, that's not a very exciting central premise. Like maybe in the real
It was
world,
like racial stereotyping in a way.
Yeah, I mean he does do that, and Hackman apparently clashed with Friedkin because he didn't like saying some of the racist language that he had to say as well. But Friedkin was like, "Look, this is how these cops were. That it's just part and parcel of the job," which may be true, and that's the thing. It's not a very interesting central concept. It is shot in that documentary way where we're seeing the realism of how those things might go, but that doesn't necessarily make it engaging. Coupled with the fact that he isn't a very likable person, that's all kind of off-putting. But the thing that's interesting about it is having someone who is like that be kind of the hero of the piece, be someone who you ask, can you identify with? But it's different to someone like Tony Soprano, for example, who is this guy, really. Tony Soprano is that guy, just on the other side of the wall. But we get into his mindset, we understand why he is the way he is, we still empathise with him, we still see the humanity. You never see the humanity of Hackman's character. But because of how the film ends, it's kind of like at the end going, yeah, but see, he isn't just a hero.
Point.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Look at how he is. And I think it's something, Friedkin just likes these stories about like the dark heart of man. From whether it's The Exorcist or Sorcerer or whatever, it's always like plumbing some real dark side of the soul shit. And I think Popeye Doyle's character is this dark side of the soul character. But in a police force, and in this day and age, given everything that's happened, it's very hard to watch characters like this. But I got to say, because of how it is filmed, when you have a moment like him stalking him on the train, trying to get on and off when the other guy's getting off, and when you have that car chase, they become even more engaging because you believe in the world that they've created. So it feels much more exciting in those moments. They're just few and far between. And Roy Scheider was the one that I really cared for.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Roy Scheider, he was all right.
Yeah.
He felt like he was always trying to make Popeye do the right thing. He was stopping him from. I don't know whether it was a good cop bad thing. Like the first time we see them, he's like beating on some guy who they just found in a bar, and Roy Scheider almost seems like stop it. Like we need to ask him questions,
even though he got slashed.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's I gotta say, that scene on the train, best part of the film.
Well, when he's getting on and off.
When he's getting on and off, because I feel like, oh, this is interesting now. Like you can see they're playing with each other, they know what each other are doing.
Yeah,
I think Popeye thought that he was cleverer than he was. I don't think they were very clever at being detectives.
No, they weren't. I guess that's what made it realistic, though.
Yeah. They were very clumsy. Very clumsy.
They were clumsy.
They kept spotting them all the time.
Yeah. And also, when they were staking the Italian guy out when they trailed him from the club. They were literally just standing across the way from his shop, just standing there.
Eating and drinking shit coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
I kind of like that balance of these, like, they're eating all very opulently and having like lovely fine dining meals, and they're out there eating just a slice of pizza and a bit of tissue.
Yeah.
What it's always like, though, isn't it?
I mean, that's the thing, and I think that's why people probably rave about it so much, because I do feel like this is really heralded as an incredible film. And I think it's because maybe at the time particularly you weren't seeing a police procedural quite in this way. Maybe I'm trying to think what would have come before it. The fact that it was warts and all, so it wasn't just showing very clean cut guys. And that's the thing, even though you can criticize Hackman's character for being this terrible person, that's kind of what we want to see, isn't it? We don't just want to see a hero cop.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I don't know, something didn't make it interesting. It's not like this is a bad guy and that's interesting. It's like, yeah, he's just a piece of shit, really.
But I think that is it. I think you got to get that balance right of, if you've got a bad guy, you've got to have a really good case like that you're investing as well, because you want to see his personality play out through the lens of this great case as well. Whereas if it's a nice guy, or like a real cool guy that you can follow, it's like, well, it's fine. I'm enjoying his character along the way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something, the balance wasn't right in this, I don't think.
No. And Hackman is a fucking wonderful actor, and he plays the role well. You believe that character.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would never think of him. I would not think of this as one of his iconic performances.
No.
It's almost quite a forgettable film in certain ways. Like, you will always probably remember the car chase, and you'll always remember the train bit, like the cat and mouse bits and certain things like that. But because the film is largely, like you said, stakeouts and the what we call maybe class as the boring side of police work, but at the time, and also sometimes it is quite fascinating, but it just doesn't stick with you.
Yeah. You know, maybe it was just what audiences wanted at that time, because I know you've seen it, Paul, or you didn't care for it either, The Conversation, another Gene Hackman film a few days ago. And the same kind of thing, different style of film, but it's just so detailed in the covert recording process of spying on someone, tapping someone's phone and all of that. And it's like just so lengthy and drawn out and focused on the minutiae and the detail of what goes into that, to the point where audiences must have been lapping it up. And we watch it now. Maybe we're conditioned now to expect,
that's the thing,
more like, we know, it's kind of like, we know all that now. We know that. We know this happens. We know what goes into that. We've seen television shows that have gone into it bombastically and in greater detail. Like, I never watched The Wire, but I guess there's a lot of crossover between this film and something like The Wire, where modern audiences are like, well, The Wire did it better.
Like, I guess it might have like laid the blueprints for what these kind of films are.
Yeah.
But because of how it's kind of dated, I can't look fondly on it. It kind of sours it a little bit. So like, I'm not saying like it is kind of interesting. I mean, I don't think the case is that interesting at the same time, though.
It's that case. That's the thing. It's like, why? I mean, it was a true story. Okay, fine. You want to tell the true story. That's why you focused in on this. But you could have had these characters and this film, but changed what it was. You could, just by making it a murder, that's already, the stakes are higher. There's more at stake.
Yeah.
Because when it's drugs, you know there's one or two things. One, they're going to get away with it, or two, they're going to catch them for the drugs. Whereas if you've got murder or something else, there's a risk of people dying, and people do die in this, but there's more of a risk, more tangible risk. But that's not what Friedkin was going for, clearly. And it's found its audience. Like, Nerd Revert gives it a 9, right? So he really fucking rates it. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
I can get why you people do. Like, it is a good film at the heart. It's just how much you engage and you care about what's actually going on. And how much you can sit through the parts that we might class as more boring to get to the parts that are more interesting.
it is that documentary style filmmaking that keeps you at a distance. It works at times. Like, I do think it's very clever. I think it's a fascinating idea to be like, we're not going to tell the camera crew where you're going. So it feels more like...
Especially during that train sequence, if that was the case for that.
Yeah, I wonder, can that have been the case for that? My God, because... Well, yeah, I suppose it would be.
Because literally, they wouldn't know when they're coming back out the train, when they go back into the train, if they got another plan for it.
Yeah.
It keeps that kind of air of like spontaneity.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, what are they doing? What are they going to do now? Mm-hmm. Because not even the cameraman knows what they're going to do either, so they can't place the camera in the right place.
It almost feels like you should know that before you watch the film. You should they should feature that bit of information, like, just so you know, the camera crew had no idea what was going to happen at any given moment, because then you'd watch it and probably appreciate it on another level. But I can't imagine revisiting this and to see if that is the case.
Yeah.
And there is an interesting thing with Popeye. By the way, did you know Popeye's fast food chain is in America?
Yeah.
It's over here. It's based on him. That's where they got the name from.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember how. I can't remember what exactly the connection was. Everyone assumes Popeye's is named for the cartoon character, but the honour actually goes to a fictional 70s detective found that Al Copeland named his place for Gene Hackman's character from The French Connection.
Because he liked around the corner from my house.
Because he liked the dude's style. Oh no.
Oh God.
That is not a good way of marketing your restaurant. That's telling everyone what you are. Yeah, my God. You wear that shit on your sleeve, mate. The interesting thing about Hackman, right? We introduced to him as Santa Claus, and he has all these black kids around him. And he's kind of, even whether it's an act or not, he's kind of quite fondly interacting with them. And then juxtaposed with that, just minutes later, he's racially abusing a black guy.
Yeah.
And I liked that contrast. They set it up immediately. It's like, it makes you uncomfortable with him. Because it's like, oh, this person who has just said these things was just hanging around with all these kids, all these black kids. It sets him up as a very... he's a flawed person, of course, but it's immediately, you're like, oh, you've put me at arm's length. The success of the film would have been, can you make me care and be on his side? And I guess we are in the car chase.
I guess kind of in the car chase because of who he's after. You've seen this guy; he's just literally murdering like pedestrians.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, I think there's a bigger evil at stake.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because, like, do you know you're following like Sal and Angie? It's like they just look like a decent couple. It's not. You don't see anything malicious with them.
Hey, Angie was pretty fit. I liked his wife. She was fairly gorgeous.
So when you're putting them both together with Popeye, who's this gross man, it's like, well, who am I caring for in this situation? But when it's going with the bit where the guy's just shooting everything, it's like, okay, there's actually a bigger villain right now. Yeah. So maybe yes, in that situation, you are kind of rooting for him to catch up with this guy.
Yeah.
That whole situation, man, when on the train, right? He shoots one of the officers on the train. I might have said plane by accident. I felt like I did. He shoots an officer on the train, and then he goes to the front of the carriage, and basically takes one of the train. What do you call them? Train.
The conductor.
It's not a train driver, is it? Is it a train driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he takes him hostage,
operator or whatever.
And then another officer walks down the all the carriages with loads of pedestrians, saying, "Are you okay in there? Are you okay in there?" It's like, there's a guy been shot. Have you forgotten all these people? You clearly should know what's going on.
Yes, that's true. That scene was fantastic as well. They should have just set the whole fucking thing on a train, man. That whole thing of him just missing that train, chasing him in the car, thinking he's going to stop at the next station, and then the train blows through and him having to chase it again. It felt like something in Grand Theft Auto, like a mission you'd have in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, what's interesting, right? It is a good shot when he shoots him on the stairs and the guy throws his arms up and drops down. Why do they use that as like the promotional poster in loads of places? Like, that's a big fucking spoiler. Didn't they care about spoilers?
Oh yeah, that is what they use, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I actually thought that's how the film ended. In my memory, I thought it ended with that shot on the stairs. But yeah, like,
it's to get people in, right? It's a big action.
That's it.
Actual action bit, and mostly it's a lot of slow stakeouts. They just want to get people in, probably.
Yeah. I mean, to
be fair, you can't really tell you can see him getting shot on the stairs as you're going up. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's thrown his hands in the.
And it zooms in. There's like 5 pictures of it as well. It's not even just.
I'm looking at it now as well. Yeah.
On the letterboxd.
The interesting thing, though, so I never knew that about the car chase. That kind of. It's on a bit of a knife's edge of what I think about that, right? Because it's kind of interesting. It's like, wow, this thing's actually real.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's highly irresponsible, man.
Yeah, but that's what people were doing back then.
You're putting people's lives at risk.
That's what people were doing back then. You're just making films for fun of it. Like, it was.
But you're normally putting actors' lives at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just people on the streets.
Members of the public, yeah.
It's like the facts like this. I know they try and they do that in the film where the woman's crossing the road with the buggy. It's like you're going across junctions where there's red lights.
Yeah.
That is dangerous. You are literally taking the general public's life in your hands.
I know. See, but Friedkin, he's a dark guy. You can tell he has it in it. I like his films, but he is a dark guy, and you know that in the 70s he would be exactly that kind of fucking person who'd be like, I don't give a shit. Let's make the picture.
Making film.
Make the
it's
movie.
got to be the best for the film.
Yeah, whatever's the best. Like, there is something. I agree with you. It makes you feel two ways because there is something thrilling about him going.
Yeah, sure.
We've got one take, one shot,
That
no
was my
permission.
instant reaction as well. Like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The bus. There's a point where they hit the bus as well. Clip the bus. That's in the film. Several collisions happened, but the worst of all was that one that's smashing into that car that was pulling out. Apparently it was a guy just got into his car, which they hadn't accounted for. This stunt driver was good at zipping around other cars that were already on the road, but they hadn't factored in someone just getting in their car and pulling out into the road, which is what happened at that point when that smash happened. Yeah.
It's not one. It kind of reminds me of the Wake and Fright kind of debate. It's like there's that balance of it being quite cool for your film and looking good, but also what are the ramifications of this?
So what we're seeing here, right, is commitment. Like, whether you agree with it or not, back then, a different style of filmmaking, like that shit wouldn't fly now. You wouldn't be able to do it. But there, they could do a fucking full speed car chase in a built up city. They could shoot down fucking kangaroos, or at least film it with a documentary crew of an actual hunt. You could cut up an actor's fucking eye, rigging his head up to watch a cinema screen. In THX, well, I don't know if they just all shaved their heads, but still, it's something. And in Duel, I think Spielberg was probably the only sensible one, because even though that could have been very dangerous, clearly that was a very safe set. You just know it was. I don't think anything.
Well, they had the stunt driver jumping out just as the cliff.
Oh yeah, that's true. Fuck yeah.
They were so unregulated at the time, man. Like, there was that new wave of these directors coming through who were just mavericks and do what they wanted to do, and everyone was like, "Fuck yeah, this is exciting. This is better than what we've been doing before. There's actually some action happening here." And everyone got bored of it, and then after a while, people were probably like, "Ooh, maybe we shouldn't do this."
See, the thing, this is absolutely it. Yeah, you're right. It's these maverick new age directors coming in, changing the game that made cinema fucking very exciting again. Because at the moment, I told you boys before, I'm in my watch list. I watch one film from a decade, from 50s upwards, and then reset so that I get a nice spread. And it is true, 50s and 60s, there was nothing like this. And then something like this comes along at the time, without all of the films that would subsequently follow. this film, without any of the subsequent films coming out, absolutely stands the fuck up. I think you're thrilled by it for all its slow
Don't
pacing
forget-
and stuff.
Don't forget Hitchcock and the man underneath the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. Yeah,
But he was also a bit of a maverick coming in and changing the game.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean,
But that's an interesting there. Yeah, very interesting.
do you know
A
what?
craft before people's lives.
Yeah, I know, but that's it. It's just like, shoot the picture, let's make the movie. Whatever's good for the fucking movie, we're going to do.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen now. It wouldn't. I mean, what do we do in movies now, do you think, that in 30, 40 years, people will look back and be like, I can't believe that they were doing that?
Fucking Tom Cruise doing his own stunts.
Maybe
Yeah,
just stuntmen.
Letting actors be their own stuntmen because they're too hard to ensure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it makes for a better picture, doesn't it?
I would have liked more of this film to have taken place in Marseille because it really made me want to go on holiday there. It didn't glamorise the place much, but it made me think of European holidays in the 90s when I used to go away with family.
I agree. When I started watching it, I was like, all right, so how do they get to France?
Yeah.
When do they get to France? Like, they start off working in America, but then somehow they get to France for some reason.
Yeah.
They never do.
Never do. Never do. And also, why did they have to rope that TV star into it? And I don't understand that.
That seems like a lot more risky than just a random person. I was trying to understand. What was the whole buying a impounded car for, or a scrap car?
They wanted a car that didn't really have any traces, I think, because it was going to be scrapped.
Okay.
It was something that wouldn't be missed or what have you.
Right. See, didn't they get the car off the boat and then they sold it?
No, they were at the auction place first, weren't they?
I thought they got the car off of the boat and then they sold it at auction. I'm pretty sure it happens that way. That's what I was like. So what is the plan here? I thought they brought the car on a ship of like scrap cars, and then someone won the car in the auction. So it looks like, it was not traceable.
Yeah.
Right.
So the car wasn't connected to anyone, and then they bought the car in the auction.
Yeah.
And then they could obviously drive it away with the drugs in.
You're right.
I think.
Yeah, because the drugs... Okay, this is what happened. Yes.
Because then it wasn't connected to anyone, was it? So if it was on a car, like a scrap car on a boat that didn't belong to anyone, then there was no connection to anyone.
Yes. That's right.
I don't know why they would take them to America. Why didn't they sell them in France?
The drugs were smuggled in the TV star's car. Right?
Yes.
That's how they got in.
Yes.
So they were already in
Yes.
the car. Then they purchased a car, which they... Oh, fuck it. I can't work it out. They purchased another car to put...
But the actor purchased the car.
No, the French
But
guy
it must
with the
have been
beard.
because he was at the getting it from the impound.
Listeners, kindly explain to us how the order of events and why of the car auction, please. Kindly explain. Jason, Nerd Revert, please tell us.
I think it was all a bit jumbled. For my knowledge, they put the car on the boat, which the actor came on. So the drugs were obviously in his car. That's that got him over.
Mm-hmm.
Then they randomly bought a car. Whether that was the same car or not, I don't know. But then that car also belonged to the actor because they picked it up from the impound.
Yeah.
And then the French man drove off in it with all the money in after they took the drugs out.
Okay. Hid it in the rocker
It
panels.
seems all pretty risky to involve the actor either way.
Yeah, it does. It does. Although I did like that Roy Scheider was the one who was like, there's a weight fucking difference between now and when it came over. And that's why they knew that shit had to be in that car when they stripped it the fuck down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But are we to think?
I checked everything but the rocker panels.
Yes. Now, hang on a minute. Are we wait, they then give the actor back his car. How do they do that, considering that they fucking demolished
it all
that
back
car?
together.
Yeah, but they punctured the tank underneath the car.
Put it back together.
know.
Just put a new tank in it.
No, I think they must have been doing that for days.
Yeah.
It would have taken them ages. I don't think they did I don't think they did puncture it. I think they took the screws off of the oil tank.
Oh, I thought he I felt like he slammed a knife into it, like Michael Myers.
They definitely slammed a knife into the rocker panels. I think that really it wasn't very realistic, considering the car got impounded and how long it was taking them taking all the car apart, and then put it all back together in pristine condition, and still the guys in the office going, "Where's my car?"
Yeah, I know. I know.
Unless it was like a time difference, and they just overlaid it.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did. It just wasn't clear.
They needed a little montage of them taking the car apart and putting it back together.
Yeah.
But they just wanted them to actually do the exchange so they can arrest them all.
Yes.
And then none of them ever do any time. I didn't realise it was actually based on the true story.
Yeah.
I kind of thought they just randomly added bits at the end saying, "Oh, they didn't get arrested. They didn't have to do jail time."
No. True story. However, I don't think that all of it is true. Like, for example, the shooting of the guy on the stairs. Apparently, the police who were like acting as advisors, people who worked with the real characters at the time, were like, he would never have shot someone in the back like that. They weren't happy with that. They're like, he wouldn't have shot someone that was just running away. We don't shoot people in the back. But we've now found out that the police do much worse things, so you can't trust their version of events.
Yes.
Actually,
I'm sure they would have shot them in the back.
yeah, for sure. The real guy, Eddie Egan, who Popeye's based on, he is actually in this movie as the police captain. The one who's chewing him out, saying, "People have died before because of you," or whatever it was, whatever he said. But that's the thing.
It was an introspective role for him, like talking about himself. People have died for you.
Yes, exactly.
How dare you do that?
I got to say, even though it wasn't the best of films, the ending made me sit up and be like, this is interesting, because they literally, unheard of, really, to end the film with the good guy doing something bad and then just running off into darkness and then a gunshot. That's quite an intriguing ending.
It is intriguing, but then I think it's better if it wasn't based on the true story.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what I mean. I don't think that necessarily happened, because if that did, surely this Eddie Egan would have been in jail.
Yeah.
So I don't think that is, because it is based on a true story, but I feel like it's based on a true story in as much as that drug bust happened.
I think if anything, it kind of, that ending gives you the impression, well, this is what it was about all along. Like the kind of the pursuit of, I'll do anything to get your man kind of thing.
Anything for the law.
It was the corruption of the law more than corruption of the citizens.
Yeah. It was.
Which is all right.
It's all right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's I don't care that much about the case. I didn't care about the people.
I know.
That's half the battle.
Yeah.
I know. And that is the thing. It is because we've just seen bad police in films subsequently, layered police. Back then, I don't think there was many examples of police not being heroic. So it would have left a big impression. Whereas nowadays, you just look at him and go, yeah, he's a dickhead.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a dickhead who doesn't even necessarily get his man. Although there is a little bit of satisfaction after that guy waved at him as the train was pulling out at the end when he sees him. And he just waves at him in response, you know?
Yes. That was the best sequence. That's the actual thing to take away from this film.
Yeah.
That and the bit of the train sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, all the train sequences, basically. Anything involving a train.
Anything involving a train,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that car chase, wonderful, but in order to achieve that...
Yeah, I know. It's a bit dodgy. Not sure about it.
Bit dodgy,
and
William.
And I got to say, is it an actual thing that police in America can go, I need to take your vehicle.
Yeah, I always thought exactly that. It's like, I thought it was just a movie trope, not an.
It's like, imagine that happened to you.
I
I'd
know.
be like, how do I get my car back?
That's what the guy
He
says.
smashes your car
I know.
up. He just smashes it.
Yeah, I know.
And then what do you do? What do I have to? Are you going to pay for my car?
I know.
You can get me one instantly, like.
And like, what if you've got stuff in the boot of your car and all sorts? Like, do the police force and like, it's so much hassle.
And then he's gonna. And then what? He's gonna leave your car on the side of the road, run off with the criminal, and then who knows that he took my car? Do the police have a record of that?
Right, let me
If
Google
he
this.
gets shot and dies.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew that he took? Yeah, look on the CCTV. Yeah, back then you really have some good CCTV.
Can police really commandeer your vehicle? The answer is yes. And in the UK.
Is it just in America and in the UK?
Canada, America, UK.
Oh God, man! Imagine
You can but they have to wave their badge.
and be like, "You'll never get your car back. I'm going to smash it up."
Yeah.
Do you what if you had a baby in your car?
They'd smash the baby out. They would just smash
Get
it
the
out.
seat out.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff.
Yeah.
Terrible work by the police. How dare you take my car?
I think for me this is probably one of my least favourite William Friedkin films. He's
have to
done
have
some
them all
real
in front
good
of me.
stuff.
And Bug.
He's a very good director. Actually, no, he did Jade. Oh no, he did The Hunted as well. Yeah, no, he's done some bad stuff. He has done some bad stuff.
I think it's because he's such a maverick. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. He did the 12 Angry Men remake.
Yeah.
Which
I've only seen 5 Friedkin films, and this is the worst.
I don't know how many I've seen.
well, you've seen The Exorcist, you've seen Sorcerer, you've seen Bug. Have you seen Killer Joe?
No.
You should watch that. That's good.
That's on my watch list.
Sucking a chicken.
I've seen
chicken
5
drumstick.
as well. I've seen The Exorcist. I think Cruising is the other one. No, I haven't seen Cruising. What was the other one then? Bug.
There's this documentary that Friedkin did a few years ago called The Devil and Father Amorth. And
All right.
it's about him attending a supposed real exorcism in Italy.
Oh shit.
And documenting it. I've seen it. It's not really a spoiler to basically say, obviously, there comes a point where he is invited to a church by a priest towards the end of the
Right.
documentary, and the priest says to him, "You can come in here, but you can't bring your cameras." And then Friedkin comes up on camera and he's like, "When I went into the church, the priest was..." Basically, he says that he sees spirits and everything in the church. It's like, how convenient that you couldn't take your camera in for that moment. It's like, you're a documentary maker. You're a film director. Don't bullshit us. Don't think we're stupid, man.
How convenient. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's that film. I haven't got anything else to say.
I ain't
about
got
this.
anything else to say. I appreciate it being brought up. As always, we have good discussions
Yeah.
about these things. Just wasn't a
Awesome,
big
Edinburgh.
hit
Thank you.
for any of us, I don't think. What's the scores on the doors then?
Okay. My score actually hasn't changed. I still feel the same about it. It's a 7 out of 10.
Oh, 7.
Yeah.
I'm keeping this as a 7, but it's a low 7.
That's interesting. I'm dropping it from an 8 to a 6.
Okay. Yeah.
wow.
I can see that though. I can see that. Yeah. I got enough enjoyment out of like the train sequence and
Yeah.
that it gets the 7 for me.
All right. Well, that averages out as a 6.66, which rounds up to 6.7. So we got to place
And then
We got
Nerd Revert's 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Nerd Revert coming in the mix and changing things up. So if Nerd Revert's 9, that brings it up to 7.25. So it's doing okay. So it's going to go to battle with these other films, which have all had guest inputs in the past. So first and foremost, Manhattan Murder Mystery. Manhattan Murder Mystery for me.
Yep, same.
I think
There we go then.
That's it. Stopped.
That's it. Bottom of the 7.25s. What would you have said, Adam?
I think this is better than that.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Yeah, I don't think you liked that, did you? What did you give Manhattan
Not
Murder
really.
Mystery? We both gave it an 8, me and Did you give it? No, you gave it a 7.
Is it Woody Allen?
He gave it a 5.
Yeah. Wow, we were. Yeah, you definitely like us more.
Yeah. So that means above it is Manhattan Murder Mystery, and below it is a Serbian film.
Which is also better than this film.
Yes. So cheers. Thanks for that nerdvert. We got any people's takes?
We haven't. I just forgot to do it.
Well then, this is how we wrap up the episode because, boys, it's the end of 1971.
Yes.
Yeah!
We're at the end. We've done 5 fucking films. And let's go with scene of 1971. Paul, you can begin.
Best scene of 1971. Okay, well, I like to tie it to some kind of theme that we've been seeing in all these films. And it's also just a great scene anyway. And it is the theme of toxic men.
Yeah.
And I think there's
men
no
struggling with sexuality, masculinity.
Waking Fright. There's
And
no
their place
even describe what toxic about that film. We've got Clockwork Orange. Once again, don't have to describe anything about that. Jewel, that truck driver. Don't have to describe about that.
Yep.
French Connection. Don't have to describe about that.
It's true.
THX. That fucking plunger scene, mate. You fucking toxic piece of shit.
Everyone has their needs. Mate, the plunger has 2 uses. After it services the man, it services the woman with the other end.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
No, it's not me. George Lucas, your Star Wars boy, came up with it, mate.
he created that scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, the actual scene is just showing all these toxic males in their environment. Is the opening, the milk bar scene from Clockwork Orange, just perfect and beautiful with the music, just the setup, just everything. Wonderful stuff.
That's a very good one.
Again, I might have to, I was going to say the Singing in the Rain scene, but that's fucking awful. But it
Your
does
favourite scene.
describe. It does describe. I think maybe the opening scene again, where they're only in it. They save the woman, but they're only in it because they want to beat people up. They're not actually in it to save her.
Yeah.
And they're throwing each other around on those.
Yeah.
Throwing each other into chairs and stuff. Quite fun.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm not going to pick anything particular about toxic masculinity. This is kind of more about all of these films were kind of unique and weird and experimental in their own ways, trying to do new things, different things, and presenting things to audiences which they wouldn't be accustomed to seeing. I'm actually going to say the scene from Waking Fright where they're playing that unusual game with the coin on the card that they throw up into the air that lands, because that whole set piece that goes on for about 5 to 10 minutes intermittently is very intriguing because it shows, well, we already talked about it, but it shows how that community engages with each other, how an outsider comes into it, gets embroiled in it. So madcap, the energy of it represents the whole fucking year for me.
It's almost like otherworldly when you've been brought into that, like, what is going on?
Yes.
But then you kind of get transfixed with,
Yeah,
like,
something so
trying
simple.
to figure out what the rules and...
Yeah, fascinating. We should play sometime.
Yeah, we should.
Best character, Paul?
Alex's parole officer, yeah. Followed by the prison sergeant, the very enthusiastic prison sergeant from Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange sweeping the boards for you.
Yeah, it is.
Good calls. Adam?
This character.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
He's so sleepy.
I'm not sleepy. I'm just thinking.
Oh.
You go first, Ben.
I'm saying Alex. It has to be. For me, it's Alex.
I wanted to say Alex, but I just don't want to say Alex because then I can't think of.
I'm trying to split
Downstairs.
it across different films for each category, but Alex has to take it best character for me.
I'm gonna take the truck from Jewel.
Oh, that's a character. It's a character.
What's his name?
The truck.
The truck.
Flammable.
Played by
I guess it is called
truck.
Flammable, isn't it? That's true.
Flammable. Okay, good one. Good one.
Good one.
And best quote or quote that represents the era, I guess.
Not necessarily represents the era, but just every slang from A Clockwork Orange, notably, McGlazzies, McGlazballs.
The Clockwork Orange
I was free.
What, is that your one?
I was cured, all right.
I was cured, all right. Yeah. Is that your
Oh,
one?
good one. Nice.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Well, mine is, we didn't even talk about it in the episode, but I've been saying it a lot in the last 24 hours.
I know. I'm about to say you're going to go for this one.
Yes. It's
yeah.
French Connection. You ever pick your feet in Poughkeepsie? because it was one of the few things that I even remembered about this film, having seen it before, because I thought, what a strange image and strange thing to ask. But apparently this guy would ask suspects that to throw them off lines of questioning. So when he was saying, you broke in there, didn't you? You stole those jewels, you did that. Do you ever pick your feet in Poughkeepsie? It would throw them off because everyone was like, what? So that when they then got normal questions again, they were more likely to answer.
Well, it kind of
Interesting.
works because I also felt that way watching it. I was like, what is he talking about?
I know, but it's a horrible idea because he's like, you ever sit on the edge of a bed, take your shoes off, take your sock off, and stick your finger between your toes and pick it? It's like, what? What? It's a horrible image and a horrible thing, but it's stayed with me all these years, so it's got to be the best.
Yeah, I get it.
1971, you were a fucking good year.
You're a good year, yeah, for sure.
Arguably
Thanks
the best
for,
year we've done.
Yeah, thanks to Jamie and for Nerdrovert for picking some films.
Yeah, man.
Throwing them among the pigeons.
Yeah, man. What year do we go to next?
Well, the next year we're actually going to, this will be after we actually come back from our little break, which is coming up. If you guys didn't know, we got a little break coming up where I'm having a baby and these two are going to Glastonbury.
Yes, we're going to get the patrons to pick a film that stars a baby or is based around a baby, and then another set of films that is based around music.
That's right.
That's right.
And we're going to do one on each before we go away for a break. So we're not going to start a new year because we'll just end up stopping. It's better to do it in one go.
Exactly.
So
yes.
with their patrons are going to pick their films, and then it's going to go onto Twitter. Twitter is going to vote for the patrons' film that they want us to cover.
But just for a little teaser, after we come back from our little jaunt, we will be covering the year of 1960.
Way.
What film are we doing?
Well, we'll tell everyone on our
Return.
at the end of our next two films. We'll tell them what it is.
And we are doing 1960.
1960, brought to us by the wonderful For Your Reference podcast.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Didn't they pick like 2021 last time?
They did 2019.
What did
2019 was quite
2019,
the jump backwards now.
Yeah.
for sure?
I like it. I like that we're doing 20th century films.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun.
Wonderful. Great stuff.
Wonderful.
Well, I look
Well,
forward
we'll
to
see
this
you on this-
baby and music
yeah.
film.
This secret film's coming up, so keep your
Yes.
eyes peeled for a nice little Twitter poll.
Yeah.
On our
Last
Twitter
time we did a
page.
Twitter poll, we ended up with Sorcerer. So
Yep.
So, good. Excellent. Well, we better get asking those patrons for suggestions, right?
Yes, we better
'cause
do that.
need to. Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And don't forget to pick your feet
In Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie?
Yes.
Poughkeepsie?
Pick your feet in Poughkeepsie.
Wherever Poughkeepsie. Is that a place?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, right. We'll just do that, guys.
Just
Or
do that.
don't. Sounds gross.
Yeah. Stop picking your feet.